Hello, welcome everybody back to the WPSL's AGM Live. This is the Women's Premier Soccer League's annual general meeting, and we have a ton of really great, amazing people that we're going to be speaking with today. My name is Katie Parker. First up, we have Rob Kehoe, the Collegiate Relations Representative for the WPSL. How are you this morning?
Very well, Katie.
Good. I'm glad.
Very well.
I'm glad to be here with you. Thank you for joining us. I guess let's just jump right into it. What is going on with intercollegiate athletics, specifically soccer?
Well, I mean, certainly an interesting time, not only soccer, but all of intercollegiate athletics. I would say we're in the midst of a number of game changers and swirling winds relative to many of the game changes relate to transfer portal and name, image, and likeness. Those dynamics have shifted relationships and situations within the NCAA in all different sports in terms of the appetites and motivations of players at schools, their relationships with their coaches, their satisfaction with where they're at or where they want to be. So those are some pretty interesting dynamics, as well as kind of the swirling winds area is structure in terms of what's the NCAA or intercollegiate athletics going to look like in the next number of years. And so much is speculation now. I mean, where the Autonomy 5 conferences, now the Autonomy 4 conferences, the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12, having lost the Pac-12, what direction are they moving? We've seen some just almost unimaginable changes in that, where you have Washington and Oregon now playing in the Big Ten. So there's so much that's undetermined in terms of the future there. There's questions whether we're going to have different divisions within the NCAA beyond divisions 1, 2, and 3. So there's a lot of, again, swirling winds with relative to that. And soccer's right in the middle of it in terms of where will we be as a collegiate sport. So we just keep our eye on what is going on, try to keep our fingers on the pulse so that we know in relationship to how any of it affects the Women's Premier Soccer League.
That is a lot going on that's just kind of up in the air and trying to figure out where it's all going to land. But you mentioned a few different kind of highlight topics. The impact of the transfer portal. Let's start there with how that's impacting soccer.
Well, it's impacting soccer in a way that just presents a lot of different changes each year to rosters. And again, where you look at the motivations of players in terms of what makes them happy at their schools. I mean, the one basic thing is playing time. And so, in search for better situations individually, playing time could be an issue, relationships with teammates, coaches. In the Division I level, even more visibility, because if you're at a program and you're doing really well as an individual player, but your team doesn't get a lot of visibility with consideration for possibly being a pro at the next level, either in the NWSL or Major League Soccer on the men's side, or even going internationally, you might look for greener pastures or what you would consider greener pastures. But one of the things that you realize is that wherever you go, you still have to mow the pasture. And so there's a lot of dynamics there that are important. The other thing is NIL. It's like players are now looking at situations to where can I get more NIL opportunities? So there are many different factors beyond where can I get a good academic degree and have a good experience on the soccer field.
Yeah, and previously, I think athletes were looking at the university programs to see what's going to be the best fit for them. And now with NIL coming into play, that's changing that landscape a bit. What are some of the opportunities and challenges that are presented with NIL?
Well, let me address the transfer portal again first, if you would. And I just had a conversation with the NCAA yesterday, the person that oversees the transfer portal, just to get an update. And right now, I think, let's say on the Division I women's side, there are about 1,300 players in the transfer portal, which is pretty consistent with the last couple of years since the transfer portal has started. Of those players that go in the transfer portal, about 45% of them end up actually transferring and playing at another school. So that's over 50% go into the portal and don't end up transferring to another school and playing, or they give up the sport. They may stay at their same school. So that variable we've been keeping our eye on in terms of that dynamic. And, I think, some would look at it and say, well, maybe it's not as crazy as we think it is. But it's kind of blended out in terms of there were a lot of reaction to it when it opened a couple of years ago. And now people are looking at it and saying, well, maybe all that glitters isn't gold. And we look at this, and as I think you already mentioned with NIL and with transfer portal, it just has added more check marks in terms of where do I want to be. And the NIL situation is one to looking at it, again, how does it change dynamics within a team? Again, what are the motivations of players? Do I get visibility so I can make more NIL deals? Or am I committed to trying to be the best player and help my team? Relationships within teams. Well, what if this player is getting more NIL activity than me? So there's a lot of dynamic shifts that relate to some of these things, but they're all good. I mean, in the sense of a transfer portal situation, if people are looking for other opportunities, fine. Just try to make the best decisions. And same thing with NIL in terms of good learning experience. There's opportunities. We'll talk about that with WPSL, because that's one of the things that when I came into working for the WPSL was, let's introduce this to the league because it's a wonderful community engagement opportunity, getting people involved, building relationships. So same thing on the college campus.
I'm going to pause you for just a second. Elle's going to come in and help us out. Your microphone, we're going to move it just a bit so that we can hear you even better. Yep. Okay. So with NIL, what does that look like with soccer athletes, and how are they getting, how does it look like with them getting those deals, and how big of that pie are they able to be a part of?
It's not highly significant within college soccer now. I mean, you see in NIL, both on the men's side and the women's side, perhaps what you could look at are some of the marquee athletes who are getting a lot of attention. I mean, you look at, say, the football quarterbacks, at the major, highly visible schools. They're getting significant NIL deals. I mean, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, some on the women's side, Olivia Dunn, and so when scaling it down to other sports and how broad it is, it goes pretty drastically down in terms of opportunities. And so there's a big education part of this also, for athletes to learn how do you make the most of this opportunity. And it's something where, again, from in the college soccer world, you don't see a lot of that in terms of recognizable athletes getting deals comparable to what you'd see in a few of the other athletes around.
And I do know, I feel like women athletes are starting to get bigger deals. And I think those opportunities are starting to be a little more clear when it comes to what female athletes can provide for an NIL deal. So I'm hoping that we get to see more of, especially women's soccer athletes, but the women athletes in general, being able to tap into that even more.
Well, we're excited to introduce it to Women's Premier Soccer League. I mean, we're probably the first league that has an actual partner in Casey Floyd from No Cap Sports will be on to talk about that. And he and I have known each other for a number of years through the work that I do with the Intercollegiate Coach Association Coalition. And looking at this to where when I was asked to come on with the WPSL, I thought, well, this would be something that would be a good idea, at least to consider for introduction to our league. And so we're really excited about that in terms of launching it, and to think of the reach of our league where we have about 5,000 players every summer within the league. It's going to be an exciting community engagement opportunity and an opportunity for the players and the teams.
We have, just to your point, we have a graphic that I don't know that we will put up yet, but we had 53 WPSL alumni playing in the NCAA Women's College Cup this last December. So to your point, the players in this league are definitely making an impact in college soccer and on to pro as well. We've had a number of them that were just drafted in the NWSL also. So it's a really cool thing to see the impact that the players and that this league can bring to women's soccer across the board. Moving from that, I want to talk about the WPSL's impact on women's soccer athletes in college and what that's going to look like in our next topic with the future of the NCAA structure and how that's coming into sort of question and what that could look like in the future.
Well, first of all, on that, I mean, our league fills a real strong need within the college game, in the sense that the summertime for a college player is what I would call the days of determination. It's to where you can show your determination to improve over the summer, because when you come back in August, you're going to be playing competitive games on your college campus pretty quickly. And therefore, from the college coach's perspective, we hope our players come back fit, fresh, hungry, and better. And the college teams shut down basically May 1st on campus. And so what our league does is fills a transitional void from one academic year to the next academic year. And with that, to help the players not only enjoy a tremendous experience in the summer, but also to be prepared for their college season. So that's something that is a very significant, highly appreciated feature of the WPSL, what it represents to college. So future-wise, I mean, we look at the Division I women's soccer for the last number of years have been working, as have the men on the Division I side, as have Division II and III, is the college season is 12 weeks long. And on Division I level, you can play up to 20 games. So the compression of trying to get 20 games into 12 weeks is highly challenging. And again, looking at it from a sports science perspective, it's not healthy in terms of trying to have a training to competitive balance and compress all of that competition in 12 weeks. So over the last 10 years, the Division I women have been working on a proposal to decompress the season. The proposal has gone through a number of phases of NCAA governance process. It first got into the system in 2016 to be looked at, and committees looked at it, approved it in terms of this looks like a viable model to extend the season from 12 weeks to 14 weeks. Well, to do that, there are other things that have to change in order to accommodate that. Number one would be the NCAA television contract and the College Cup that the NCAA produces through ESPN So with their contract, they would have to change that. So in 2016, they had to pull the proposal because that particular part of the contract hadn't been dealt with, which I told them before, don't put it into the cycle yet because it can't happen unless the TV contract changes. Anyway, they didn't listen to that. Gets in the cycle. We can't do it because of TV contract. So anyway, we've continued to work on it, and now it's back in the system to be evaluated, with the possibility of being voted on in June this year with an implementation of 2025 season, which in addition to going from 12 weeks to 14 weeks in the fall, which would mean you come in for preseason training August 1st, then you start your regular season games probably around the third week of August. Then rather than finishing around the 1st of November, extending a couple weeks later, move the NCAA tournament back and then finish in like the second week, mid-December, rather than the first weekend of December now. The other aspect of this is the request to have the Division I women's players have the opportunity to come back on campus July 15th for what would be called an acclimatization period, to try to help them ramp up, become accustomed to high level of demand, come back in. We got preseason training August 1st, but we start games pretty quickly. So that would be something to where, again, there's 345 Division I women's programs. There's some challenges associated with that because to bring the players back on campus is costly. And, there's a vast difference in terms of resources in teams. So how is that factored into the decisions each program would make as to where they stand? I guess the concern would be, does that present more of a separation of, the more resourced programs to others that don't have the kind of resources? Those are questions. But the model-wise, in terms of health and safety, personal, academic, mental, physical balance, decompression of the seasons, all contained within the proposal, just becomes a matter, will this be something approved by membership, which the membership is not the NCAA staff. It's member institutions and conferences that they're the ones who decide and vote on the proposals.
It's a very interesting topic too. It's could change quite a bit moving forward.
It could. I mean, it could change a lot. And again, this goes back to what we talked about originally, structure. I mean, could there be a time where you'd have similar to what's happened in football, where you have the FBS and FCS separation? And so possibility, certainly that conversation is an ongoing one in terms of what makes the most sense for the institutions in the NCAA to be able to support broad-based sports and to be able to sustain them and have them healthy and vibrant.
To your point about the WPSL being so vital to players who are trying to stay healthy and stay fit and stay in at the top of their game through the summer in their college off seasons. Eleanor Dale, she is a player who played for the California Storm this last season. And I spoke with her at the beginning of the season, and she said that it was the exact reason why she joined the California Storm, because when she went into her university the year before, it took her a while to get going. And this past season, she not only was the leading scorer for the California Storm, she also was a Matt Kerman finalist. And moving on to great things now as well, trying to go pro. And it just goes to show how important this league is and can be.
Really is. I mean, and that's a terrific success story. And I think it points to the exact reason that I mentioned, that the WPSL serves a vital function within the overall structure of soccer in the United States, but then specifically college soccer, because, and it's not only Division I, it's Division II, Division III, NAIA, junior college players who are playing in the WPSL, who are basically all working on the same schedule, which is August starts as far as coming back to school, and you're going to play games soon. And if you have had a good, healthy, constructive, and productive summer, it only enhances your opportunity to compete for a spot on your team, to achieve that one very desirable thing of playing time, but also to make a contribution to your team in pursuit of achieving your team's goals. And collectively, if you have a group of those players, the strength coming back just improves the experience for everybody. And again, it's a very healthy experience within the summer. I mean, to keep the players active, competitive, but also the richness of them being involved in communities to where they're interacting with the youth and the fan bases, the sponsors and communities. That's fresh. It's a very fresh situation, and it's different perspective than college. And then again, as I mentioned, to be able to come back fit, fresh, and hungry and better, it's a pretty good relationship that we have with the college situation, the whole college structure. And again, why the league is a vibrant league.
To touch on a little more of the conversation that's happening around the future of the structure, you were telling me about the modernization of rules committee and what's coming up in that discussion.
Yeah. It's always evolving. And again, I've been involved pretty deeply in NCAA governance activity now for the last 16 years. And it's always changing. I mean, I think we're on like the fourth version of NCAA Division I governance process, which is how legislation gets proposed and how it goes through the cycle. So now, as I mentioned, in all the game changer world and the swirling winds of potential change within the, I shouldn't say potential, the present and potential changes in the NCAA, there is a subcommittee called the Modernization of Rules Subcommittee, which is looking at all of these different things like NIL, like transfer portal, like conference alignment, realignment, mergers and acquisitions, however you want to say it. And how do we modernize the rules to make them contemporary, 2024? And a couple examples of that would relate to professionalism. Is right now, you look at all of the NCAA bylaws that restrict professional experience for a student athlete. For instance, a prospective student athlete, a high school athlete, they can't be a pro and then still maintain their eligibility for college. So that's being looked at now in terms of pre-college as well as even after enrollment. Could somebody have a professional experience, be a contracted player, and then still retain their eligibility for college? For instance, as a high school player, maybe you played as a pro, but then you decided, I want to go on and play in college, that I give up my contract or I'm out of contract for some reason. I haven't lost my eligibility. I can now go and play. And so we're in those discussions now, and really exciting discussions, because there are a lot of things that factor into this. I mean, there's more international players coming to play soccer in the United States. And those players all pretty much come from professional clubs that they come to the United States, and the questions are asked, well, were you a pro? How much money were you given? It's what's called actual and necessary expenses. And, there's a whole department in the NCAA that just goes through and, okay, how many meals did you have? And did you ride your bike to practice when you were 16 years old? Or did you have a car? And we tally that up, and it's like, well, you can't go above this to still be eligible. And so we're looking at things like that in terms of what makes sense in terms of the professionalism. I mean, if somebody started college and decided that they get drafted, say in the NWSL or Major League Soccer, and they go and test it for a year and it doesn't work out, why not let them come back as long as they're out of contract? So we're in those kind of discussions, which are really exciting. And as I mentioned the other day in a meeting with the NCAA, the people that are the overseers of this subcommittee, I said, let me tell you, Division I men's and women's soccer coaches and the Division II, Division III coaches take the title of your subcommittee very seriously. Modernization of rules. We want to be involved in these discussions because they're important in terms of the changing dynamics of the game, not only in the United States, but internationally, in the college game specifically. Let's have the conversations and make some good decisions. So it's an exciting time in that world.
And it's very timely. We've seen 15-year-olds joining the NWSL now. In the WPSL, the talent ranges from age 14. I've seen on some teams some really talented 14-year-olds and up. And so it feels like the quality talent keeps getting younger and younger with our understanding of training and women athletics and how to involve healthy and strong training and mental abilities into soccer. And so it's definitely an interesting topic to pay attention to.
Well, it is, and it's all about opportunity. And when we look at soccer as just such a healthy opportunity for growth and experience, no matter what level you play it at. But we have such a good fortune in our country to have soccer as part of your pathway to getting academic education because of the blend of this in our school system and the club system, and all with the view of helping to build aspirational goals. You want to be something, and soccer is a way that you can grow as a person, you can grow as a player, you can learn build healthy relationships, you learn how to build balance in your life, but also it can be channeled towards getting an academic degree and going to school. I mean, we talk about get a college scholarship. I mean, there's not that many scholarships relative to the number of players that play. But it's still, there's opportunities to go. I mean, as you know, you've cited some players, they've gone from the youth, they've gone to play in college, they've signed pro contracts, they end up playing on national teams. Most don't sign pro contracts, most don't end up on the national team, but experience-wise, everybody could have a rich experience, which is exciting. And exciting about then we have groups like the Women's Premier Soccer League that even fills another area, which is that area between high school, college, pro, and for the college player primarily, it's like, here's a wonderful opportunity for your summer.
Absolutely. Just to sort of come back to you personally and your involvement in soccer, in the world of soccer. You retired from being a liaison with the United Soccer Coaches. You have unretired now. What does that look like for you?
Well, retirement for me was never designed with the picture in mind of going and playing golf because I'm not
beach somewhere.
Surfing, none of that. I just had too many interests, and so in my retirement, I took a position with the Women's Premier Soccer League because of the relationship I had with them prior to retirement, and I thought, well, I enjoy these people. I love the concept of the league. And it would be an area that I could continue to spend some time in. I've cultivated relationships in a lot of these areas that might be helpful to the league. Certainly, I like to be involved in things that have growth possibilities to them. And so that's been an exciting part of it. I also still am the director of what's called the Intercollegiate Coach Association Coalition, which represents over 20 sports that have not only intercollegiate athletics, but also youth clubs, etc., high school, they're like United Soccer coaches that I work with. It's all things for all groups within the sport. So that's something that I and a couple of the other coach association leaders formed during my time with the United Soccer Coaches. And since I retired, I stayed on to help guide that group. I'm also working in a soccer club. One of my sons is a director of a soccer club in Madison, Wisconsin, the SC Wave. And so he's employed me to mow fields, line fields, and train soccer players. And so I have a fair number of things going on in retirement that, again, help me to stay inspired.
When you step back and look at all of the time you've spent over the years, not just dealing with athletics in general, but specifically soccer, what are you most proud of? What is the first thought that comes to mind?
Well, first of all, I consider my introduction to soccer as a gift of amazing grace. And I say that because I never saw soccer. I grew up in an area and at a time when soccer was just almost non-existent in the United States. I was a traditional U.S. athlete, football, basketball, and baseball. And so my introduction to soccer was through a a school backpack flyer that came home that was presenting a clinic that was run in the Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin high school field house. And our oldest son at the time was 7. And at that time we had 3 sons. We ended up with 5. I thought, well, let's bring Andrew and Robert over, see what's going on, because we had just moved from California to Wisconsin, and saw a lot of kids running around on Saturday mornings in their little soccer kits, and would go by the school yards and the fields like there's a lot of people playing this game. So we brought them, or I brought them to the field house, and I thought, this is really good instruction, and I really like the way that the coaches here are teaching this. And I had my own business that I had through the decades called Winning Ways Services, where I do leadership and team building programs. And so I found out that the coaches who were running this clinic were actually the coaches at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. The head coach was Bob Gansler, who had just taken the position as the U.S. national team coach, which I had no idea what's a national team. And so he's the college coach, and his assistants were a fellow named Brian Tompkins, who was the women's soccer coach at Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And the assistant coach was Sasho Sarovsky, who had played at Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and he was Bob's assistant. And they were the ones who were primarily running the clinic because Gansler was gone most of the time trying to help get the United States into the 1990 World Cup. So I'm one of the dads that they said, if you want to help out, help out. So I'm one of the dads who went with my kids every Saturday morning, and I'm helping out. And it's like, I really like this. And pretty soon, 2 things happened. Having more kids than most everybody else in the neighborhood got asked to start coaching. So I went out and got my orange cones, and I became a coach and started coaching. U8 and having a great time. Since I'd never played, I thought, well, I'm not going to do anything by just standing on the sidelines. I'm going to play with the kids. I want to play this game. So I started playing with the kids, started coaching. And then the Wisconsin-Milwaukee people started asking me if I would come and work with their team with my Winning Ways program. And I got involved with them. They had a lot of success and attributed a good amount to the conversations we had, the tools that I provided their teams or their players in terms of leadership and team building and all of that. And then I started watching their games and it was like, oh, this is really a great game. My high school football coach told me I should play soccer in college. And when I saw the first Wisconsin-Milwaukee game, I thought, this is exactly what he was talking about. So anyway, over the years, I became more involved, and I started, more college teams asked me to come and work with them. And so I ended up having the opportunity to work from Stanford to North Carolina to Notre Dame. And if you look at the resume of the college programs I've worked with on the men's and women's side, it's like, you've been around. And so there's a lot of that. And then 3 of my sons played college soccer, 2 at Wheaton College in Illinois, 1 played at St. Olaf in Minnesota. They ended up coaching. So it's just been a big part of my life. And then when I ended up being asked to go to the United Soccer Coaches, it was a pretty amazing experience that I was able, because of the relationships I had built primarily on the college campuses, but also I would speak at U.S. soccer events. So I got to know a lot of people over the years. And then to be asked to somewhat be a central figure for United Soccer Coaches to connect colleges with, the pro leagues and with U.S. soccer and with the NCAA, it's like, well, I don't know if you call this a job. I mean, it's just been an incredible experience. So it's a book. I mean, it's a book. And again, I look at it and I just call it, the game to me has been a gift of amazing grace and continues to be.
I love that. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our viewers before we wrap things up?
Well, I guess, first of all, just the appreciation that people would tune in to learn more about Women's Premier Soccer League and to know what we're doing and have done. I mean, the history of this league is fascinating. And to see the organization and work within it has been very impressive to me. And so I would just, encourage people to learn more about our league. Go online, see where we're playing, the regions in the country. Where do you have local teams playing? Because there's so much opportunity for community engagement. When I think, as I mentioned, my kids, they end up playing college soccer. Well, it started, they had role models. They went out to see these college players that I was working with. It was like, I want to be like them. And so not only on the college campus during the season, but when you think of what we offer all over the United States in the summer, this level of talented player going to these communities and playing in these clubs is very, very exciting. And so for people to tune in and to see, I mean, we have all of our social media resources, we have our rankings, that goes out every week, our regional rankings, our national rankings. It's exciting. It's an exciting league. And again, something very good for our youth players to be able to observe higher level players, great experience for the players to be in these communities and meet people, and then opportunities for helping to continue to build the game in a complementary and supportive way, in our summer program. But, we're expanding, the league's expanding in so many areas, and that we have a vital function within the whole landscape of soccer in the United States. So I would just encourage people to tune in to WPSL.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your knowledge, your resources with us. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. It's good to be with you.
All right, everybody, we are going to take a very quick break. I will grab another guest and bring them up here, and we'll be right back with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You are watching the WPSL's AGM Live, and we are joined by, that is the correct terminology there. We are joined by another guest. This is Casey Floyd with No Cap Sports. Casey, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic. Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're taking the time to talk with us. We were just speaking with Rob. He was giving us a lot of detail about the landscape of college athletics when it comes to women's soccer, and the ever-changing look at that right now. But we touched a little bit on NIL, and that is a huge topic of discussion right now around collegiate athletes, and it's something that you know a great deal about. So tell us a little bit about No Cap and what you all are doing with the WPSL.
Absolutely. So my background is in NCAA compliance. I've been in it for over a decade. I've been at multiple Power 5 institutions, Division I conference office, and most recently I was director of compliance at the University of Michigan before leaving to help co-found No Cap Sports. And No Cap Sports is a technology platform. We work with over 100 universities, over 100,000 college athletes use our platform. And it's really a marketplace so athletes can connect with brands to do NIL deals. And then we automatically remove the paperwork and the friction for those deals. So we handle the contracts, we handle the tax forms for everyone, and we handle the NCAA compliance forms. So everyone is NCAA eligible and doesn't have to worry about any of those potential issues. We want to be that partner to take care of that. So with the WPSL, we're the official NIL partner, and we're looking to bring turnkey NIL programs to the WPSL teams that drive revenue to the teams and the league. Doesn't cost the teams anything to participate, and that's really the goal. So when you hear about NIL, with everything happening in college athletics and a lot of the mainstream media, what they talk about is the star athlete that's getting a big endorsement deal. Well, that's great for them. Well, NIL is actually for everyone. And that's what we're bringing to the WPSL is the opportunity that everyone can win, the teams, the league, the girls. And that's really our goal.
And the fact, I know you all signed this partnership last year, but coming in towards the end of the season. So this is really the first season for these teams and these players to really benefit from this partnership. And I love the idea that you all realize, the teams don't always have all the resources to be able to put money up front into making some of these investments in order to make that grow into bigger NIL deals. And so the fact that you've been able to put together packages that are, like you said, turnkey for the teams to be a part of is huge. Can you walk us through a couple of those options and what that might look like for these teams?
Absolutely. So we have Team Cards, which is one of my favorite programs. And yeah, thank you for doing that. Let me see. I have a bigger version.
I can Vanna White this for you.
And so basically with these Team Cards, which is great, is doesn't cost the teams anything. There's no requirement to sell sponsorships. And what we're doing is we're combining traditional advertising and sponsorships with NIL to create new and exciting inventory for everyone. It creates great fan engagement opportunities to engage with the community, which we love. And so how it works is we sell sponsorships. There's one premier spot on the front of the card. There's 4 large sponsors on the back of the card, and there's 16 smaller sponsors down here at the bottom. And how it works is we're going to sell those sponsors. We can work with the team. So the team can sell sponsorships. We can sell sponsorships. And so even if the team doesn't want to sell any sponsorships, they're going to get 30% of the profit shared with them. No out-of-pocket costs. They get that 30%. The league gets 5%. No Cap Sports gets 15%, and the remaining 50% of the profit is actually for whoever makes the sale. So if the team sells all the sponsorships, that's fantastic. We are actually perfectly happy just operating. We want to be good partners with the WPSL and the teams. So we are more than happy to just put these programs together and take that 15% for administering everything and doing all the NIL paperwork for the girls. And we would love for the teams to sell the sponsorships. But what I've seen is a lot of the teams need help selling the sponsorships. So we can come in, sell those sponsorships. And the advantage we have is we have partnerships with a lot of large national brands. Now, they're not really interested in 1 or 2 teams, but if we can package everyone together and bring them we represent 100 WPSL teams. They are very interested in doing nationwide campaigns. And that's what I really want to bring to the WPSL, is this national-wide coverage with new sponsors, new revenue. We will not contact any of your current sponsors. So every team that participates, we ask for a do not contact list so we can be good partners. We don't want to sell to any of your current sponsors. We want to bring new revenue to the teams. And that's really our goal with this program. The NIL portion is very exciting too. So each girl is actually going to get paid $50 to sign 100 team cards each. So each girl signs 100 of these cards. And these are great for giving out to the fans of the game, give it out to the younger girls in the clubs. And from the baseball leagues that we work with, I'll tell you, when the college athletes sign these cards, it's like treasure to the younger kids. It really is. And then they want to stay after the game to get other players to sign the cards. And so it's a really cool experience for the players because they get an NIL deal, they get paid, they get to actually learn a lot through the process of, okay, the contracts, the tax forms, the NCAA compliance form. It's really educational through a practical experience of actually getting a deal. And then they also get, you know, all of the cool things of like signing. It's kind of like that come to moment of like, you know, people want this signature. Yeah. People like this. So it's collectible, it's a memento. So that's really exciting. We also have another program where we do, you can think of it like a pocket schedule. We like to call it a team guide. And what that looks like is, you know, there's 12 panels to the pocket schedule. And so it's fully customizable. The team gets 5 panels to do whatever they want with, which is awesome. And I'll just show you an example of what, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but this is kind of the layout. The team gets 5 panels to do whatever they want with. You could promote your schedule, you could promote your kids club, you could promote camps and clinics that you guys have going on, other teams in your club. And then the sponsorship sales, we have half-page ads that we sell. We have full-page ads, like this Kohl's one where they actually offer a coupon. And then we have little 1/8 of a page ads. And so just like the team cards, the teams can sell these sponsorships, we can sell these sponsorships, and we all share. But the team's going to get 30% of the profit, even if they don't sell anything, just allowing us to sell and create these opportunities. And then the teams get 10,000 of these little pocket schedule team guides out for advertising, which is great for the teams. We'll provide 50 of these boxes, custom branded for the team as well. These go great. You know, you drop these off at hotels, at local businesses in the community to help distribute all of this. And we usually have one star athlete on the front cover, and we pay that athlete $250 in an NIL deal for participating. So it's a really fun, you know, marketing opportunity and NIL deal for everyone to win.
I want to read a quote really quick from the WPSL president, Sean Jones. He says, the WPSL needs to be out front on NIL opportunities, and No Cap is the trusted expert partner to help us get there. No Cap offers risk-free revenue generating turnkey solutions that benefit all constituencies without negatively impacting member teams' most valuable resources, time and money. And That's what it comes back to for me too. It's just the fact that the teams across the country in this league have varying resources, have varying partnership deals. And the fact that they're able to sign up for this and get such great products and learn more about NIL and get NIL deals out of it is just incredible.
Thank you.
Why did you all want to be part of the WPSL in particular?
You know, WPSL is an incredible organization. So we work with several baseball leagues that are kind of the equivalent of the college summer baseball leagues, and that's where all the players go in the summer. And there's about 10 of those leagues. So we work with about 5 of them right now and more, but you know, they have maybe 20 teams, and it's very like regional based, but there's 10. The WPSL is nationwide. They really are, you know, the one that, so if you add up all the baseball leagues, that's the WPSL equivalent. And so it's really exciting opportunity. And when I was talking to Rob And I have a good connection with Rob, going back to coaches associations and the NCAA when I was working at the university level. And just as I got to learn more about his role at the WPSL and what you guys are building and have built, the incredible history, it was like, I would love to be a partner with the WPSL and help bring NIL to the teams in the leagues. And like you said, the teams vary on the resources. Some are mom and pop. They need help with sponsorships. So it was really an exciting opportunity where there is a need and we can help. And it's an incredible organization where the values align. So it's really just a perfect fit.
I can picture already. I live in our Pac North conference area. And so during the season, I get the opportunity to go to those games and kind of cover the league from the Pac North perspective. But so one of the teams in particular that I'm thinking of in the Pac North is the California Storm. They have a ton of fans and they print their own posters currently. And they have these young athletes just look up to these WPSL athletes, and it's just they're the role models, you know. And so I see them with posters after every single game asking for autographs and trying to get pictures with the girls, and something like this for every team across the league would be pretty amazing. It would be a really great deal to be able to not only market their team, but like you've said, get opportunities for the girls as well. It's pretty incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
Can I be a part of this?
Absolutely.
Sign me up. Where do I sign? No, this is amazing. How did you yourself get involved in this type of lane, this job?
You know, it's interesting. I don't want to go on a huge tangent, but I actually got into college athletics in a unique way. I grew up a huge UCLA fan, and Ed O'Bannon was kind of a childhood hero for me. He won the 95 championship for UCLA. I was 7 years old, big fan. Fast forward, I'm a law student in law school, and Ed O'Bannon is suing the NCAA. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? This is my childhood hero suing the NCAA. And that's when I first realized that college athletes were the only American citizens that didn't have the right to their own name, image, and likeness. And that didn't sit well with me. I want to be part of that change. And that's what actually got me into college athletics. After getting into college athletics and, you know, being at a level where I actually have a seat at the table as director of compliance at the University of Michigan. I also sat on the legislation and governance committee for 6 years. And so being in that room, I got to actually see what was going on with NIL. And I was the contrarian voice pushing for athletes' rights. And it became very clear to me that the NCAA was not trying to change. It was actually kind of for show. The committee was really for show. It's kind of smoke and mirrors for the public to make it seem like things were changing, but really they weren't. And so, you know, that's how I really got into this, and then come full circle where I was able to leave my role at Michigan to co-found No Cap Sports and help athletes with their NIL. It was really a full circle moment for me and really exciting because I'd hit that wall where I couldn't actually help create change on the inside, and then got this opportunity to actually help them on the outside and leave my role within the system to actually come out and help athletes actually get NIL deals and make money and help the teams understand how can I build an NIL program that benefits everyone and not just the star athlete. And that's been really exciting for me.
What do you see in the NIL landscape as something that is coming up that's kind of like big opportunities, or something that, you know, these athletes can start to pay attention to and learn more about?
That's a great question. The one thing that I really love to talk about is, so a lot of people think, you know, oh, the NIL might not be for me. I only have 2,000 followers. I'm not really a social media influencer. Like, brands won't want to work with me. That is a huge misconception. And I love to break this down because I didn't know until I got into this industry 3.5 years ago how the brands and the marketing and the social media analytics actually kind of work for the smaller athlete. They just don't understand it. And so essentially, a typical social media influencer has a 1% to 2% engagement rate. And what that means is, out of all of their followers, 1 or 2% actually like, comment, share, save, engage with their post, actually click on it, right? Well, college athletes, regardless of division 1, 2, 3, does not matter. College athletes average 12% engagement rate. Okay, and that's it across all the sports. I'm not just talking about football and basketball. I'm talking about all the sports. So for a brand, they would much rather work with 20 micro influencers that only have 2,000 followers each, but a much higher engagement rate versus one mega influencer with 100,000 followers, but a 1% engagement rate. So you get a lot more marketing value, a lot more bang for your buck by working with these micro influencers, because their communities, the people that follow them, are so much more loyal, so much more engaged. They click on it, they like it. And so there's never been an opportunity for these brands to do these kinds of things at scale before technology like No Cap Sports, where you could do a deal with 30 athletes that are at 30 different colleges, right? And our technology will provide contract templates to automate the contracts for you. If you don't have a social media influencer contract, we'll automatically handle the tax forms for all the athletes and the business, and the NCAA compliance forms for all of the athletes too. So all of the friction is removed, so you can do these at scale. You could do 20 deals with 20 different athletes at 20 different schools like that. And so it's really opened the door so brands can work with these micro influencers at scale. And that's what I really love to talk about, is every athlete has incredible NIL value. They just don't realize it yet because this industry is so new. And there's a lot of misconceptions in the mainstream media because they just want to talk about the $1 million deal because that's what people click on. But the truth of NIL is it is for everyone and everyone can win.
That's really exciting. I can envision a world where at the end of this 2024 season, we have a league full of micro influencers.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you want to make sure that we talk about or let the viewers know before we end things?
You know, I just say really excited to be partners with the WPSL, excited to be able to grow the NIL program in a win-win-win scenario for the athletes, the team, and the league. It does not cost the teams anything. What we're asking for is just the green light to include you guys in our sales pitch to brands, because the brands that we're talking about, they aren't interested in one or two teams, but they are very interested if we can say we represent 100 plus WPSL teams, which will drive revenue for everyone. There's no cost. There's no work that you really need to do. You just have to distribute the great marketing materials to your fans and the younger girls in the club. That's really the only requirement on your behalf. So just really excited to be part of this and helping build the league.
And I know that if there are anybody watching, if there is anybody watching right now that is associated with one of the teams in the WPSL, your representative that's here at the meeting is getting a lot of handouts, and there is this wonderful QR code that they can scan to give them answer a few questions on a survey and to find ways to sign up for this wonderful opportunity.
Absolutely. And if any brands are watching that want to get involved, they're great marketing value and extremely low cost per impression. I mean, you can't get this anywhere else. This is grassroots marketing at its best. So my email address is Casey, CASEY, @nocapsports.io.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Casey,
Awesome.
for spending some time with us and sharing all of this really cool information. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hello, welcome back. We are at the AGM Live. This is the Women's Premier Soccer League annual general meeting, and we have the meeting going on behind closed doors behind us, but we are also talking with some of the amazing people that are here about the landscape of women's soccer and everything that we're doing here with the WPSL right now. We have Miss Rachel Krasnow. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Huddle.
Yes.
Brand new partnership with the WPSL.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We're so excited about this. Tell us a little bit about, and our viewers a little bit about what Huddle is doing and what the partnership with the WPSL looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. We are thrilled to be here. So it's pretty exciting. This is really the launch of the partnership is here this week. And it's been a really cool one because we're kind of tying in a bunch of different areas of our business with the WPSL. And for me personally, so I oversee all of our strategic partnerships at Huddle. And when I look at women's soccer and just the amount of growth that's going on right now, I think that it's a no-brainer to be able to partner with an organization like this. So we're really looking at it from a few different angles, how we can help the coaches, how we can help from a viewers and fan standpoint. So a lot of that is with this league exchange that we're going to be doing, which allows coaches to be able to share film and footage across the league and in a really easy way, no matter what. And then we're going to be taking over from a streaming standpoint too. So the ability for every single team, no matter where they're going to be operating. And I know some are in college stadiums and some are going to be, in random fields. We can make sure that no matter what, they have an easy way to stream with us. As well as, great discounts and opportunities for every single team within the program to have, the chance to be on a really good platform for data and analytics, as well as our capture platform.
So many cool things that you just talked about. I know a lot of our teams have a really great local fan base, and there are quite a few teams that have even broader fan bases from across the country, from all over the world even. And part of that is due to the players coming in from different places. Part of it is due to they're just that good at fan engagement and involving the fans. Streaming is something that not every team has been able to do. And so what does that look like for them in an operations standpoint and from a fan perspective, being able to log on and see their favorite team playing in the WPSL?
That's a good question. I think one of the cool things for us is we've always been geared towards the coaches and the athletes. So when you think about a kid making their highlight reel and putting that off from a recruiting standpoint, that's always been really strong for us. Over the past couple of years, especially post-COVID, looking to the fan and what we can do to really help the fan experience has been a significant component of this partnership and how we're growing and evolving our space. So when I look at the fan space overall, is you want to be able to reach the grandparents who might be in a different location, or somebody who's kind of a family member who might be far away, or even just a fan who's following some of their top tier players who are going to get to the next level. So for us, we look at that in a lot of different ways. We want to make sure that the streaming is something that's accessible for everyone. So we have our own portable flex camera, which makes it really easy if they are using that camera to just automatically stream right from there. But we recognize that some programs might be different. A lot of them have had production companies come in, and we have a great product called Production Truck Software, which is an easy ability for those production companies to use that, and whether they want to put advertisements or make it a little bit more creative in terms of, the logos and the graphics that go along with it. We have that accessible option as well. And then there's some programs that might be smaller, they're just doing it for the summer. And in those cases, whether it's for your, it might not be the best viewing experience, but if you use an iPad or a phone, all of that can work towards being able to still fit the requirements and regulations that the WPSL is looking for from a streaming standpoint. So we really want to just make sure it's an easy process for everyone, no matter what level that they're at. And one of the benefits and things that we're going to look to do in the coming months is make sure we're doing regular meetings. We're sitting down with each club with their customer success manager and ensuring that they've got a good setup no matter what they have as an option, so that they feel really good going into the season.
And from a fan and family perspective, logging on to see their players, their favorite players play in the WPSL, is that through Huddle's website? How does that work in terms of
it's gonna be really cool. So it's a WPSL website that's going to be on Huddle, but it can be either embedded on the WPSL platform or through our WPSL. It's going to be the landing page will have WPSL in it, so it really is their space. And it's going to be broken down by region. So we'll have each region will be really easy to go in and find your team's games, be able to tune in and watch them. And every game is going to be live on there. It's the same platform for everyone, so it's a really convenient place to go and look. The benefit of that as well is okay, let's say there's a game that, maybe there was something that happened or the team wasn't able to, stream, and they had to get the other team's footage. It will make sure that everything's available on there 24 hours after the event, so that we can ensure that everyone's getting their footage up in a place that no matter what, it's one link, very consistent and easy for everyone to see.
And one of the coolest things that I heard you say is the ability for players and teams to share this footage and get clips and be able to build that highlight reel that has become kind of necessary for furthering your own personal game and development. So what does that look like?
So that's one of the coolest things I think about Huddle, and something that, at least in the soccer world, I'm not sure everyone's super familiar with just how prevalent we are across all levels of the sport. So what we're going to be doing is a mandated exchange, which has the ability to upload, exchange, and download film as a coach. And with that, if you're on a Huddle account, all your athletes will have access to that footage. And the benefit there is that with a Huddle account, we have the ability for you to send that through to any college coach, any level of play. And for us, we work with all D1 women's soccer, most of D2 and D3 women's soccer. We also work with all international programs, as well as the WPSL, or NPSL, and NWSL. I get my acronyms all turned over, but we have the NWSL as well. So it's really great from a growth standpoint. Just we touch every single level at the pro space. So as they're looking to get recruited, we have that ability, because a lot of those programs are going to be looking at the league exchange where we're uploading that film. And those D1 women's programs are going to want to be in there, and they're going to want to see that footage. So we're going to help on our end any way we can. But then as an athlete and as a parent, there's a great opportunity there to go in and set up your highlight reel. And we make it really easy and intuitive for them to pick their team colors and highlight themselves. And you can cut up the film just by searching for that player on their own. And it makes it really easy and accessible for any player to go in and be able to make that highlight reel. And then they can send it off straight through our platform, search for any college that they're looking for, and send it to the college coach with their coaches, on their side. So
I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with coaches and players who this would have really benefited them, especially players, athletes who are in areas that aren't close to D1 schools or larger schools, and they don't get the same recognition or audience as some of the larger, more successful clubs, or even some women in junior colleges and community colleges, and they're still playing it at an elite level. And joining the WPSL teams has given them a boost in that accessibility to these larger coaches that they could potentially be recruited from. But having this ability is just a game changer, I think.
I'm really excited for it. I think that one of the value props of Huddle that I love is that, yes, you're going to have those phenomenal athletes who are going to get recruited to the top D1 programs, and we're able to help them, which is great. But the core of the product is really helping the people who are going to those D2, D3, NJCAA, junior college programs, anything along those lines. Like, that's where we can really make a difference. And I think it's so much opportunity there, to your point exactly, which is like a lot of those kids, they might not have that opportunity otherwise. And the cool thing is if you're going in our recruit platform and searching for a college, and you want to know a college that's got this level of G requirement for your essay, your test scores, and this level of requirements for this, and this size school, you can search all that and be able to find out, okay, here's their coach. I want to be able to send them what my info is, and be able to send my highlight reel. And then the coach can go in and not just see the highlight reel, but be able to see kind of all the footage from all your games. So it's a really cool opportunity on both sides, and allows us to take people, the highlights and the stuff that's special are the people who get recruited out of the platform because of the fact that they wouldn't have been otherwise. And
That's
really
amazing.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned data analysis as well. How does that come into play?
Yeah, so that's really the core of Huddle and how we started as an organization. Huddle's been around since 2006, and started as a data and analytics company. And what that really is geared towards the coach. And so when you think about our platform for soccer coaches, what we want to be able to do is make it really easy for a coach to be able to have a full breakdown of the whole entire game, and pull up by specific stats, by specific plays. So, whether it's shots made, goals against, whatever the specific ones are, we have all that data in there, and make it really effective for a coach to be able to take that footage, whether it's scout footage from an opponent or it's current footage from their team, and be able to utilize that in their practices and their games. So it's, as a coach, you can go to an athlete, for example, and say, okay, here's all your plays from this game. Here's something I want you to work on. And they can send a quick note, write it in the platform, highlight something that they've done, and send it off to the player. Or if they want to make notes on something that they want to use in a practice, and hey, here's how we did this. I want to show you why this would work differently. It's all built into the system in a really easy and intuitive way, so that coaches can ultimately elevate their game and help their players.
How does that data get input? Are there metadata people who are going through and say, oh, that's a corner kick, or how is that working?
That's the really easy thing. So for a coach, we're saving them a lot of time. So basically you upload your game, it automatically gets sent to Huddle within a few hours. We say, depending on the level of subscription you have, it's within 24 to 48 hours usually. Most of the time it's a lot less than that. It's coming back into your platform. All you have to do is go in there, pull it up, and all the game's fully broken down. And so with that, you can sort by specific categories, types of plays, and everything. And every single one of those plays is going to be tagged appropriately, and you can then go and watch it. So you can watch by, if you want to just do goals scored, click that, and it pulls all of the stuff out really, really easily and simply.
I come from I come from a production background, but I also have a lot of my husband is a media asset manager, so I understand all the data points and things that have to be manually inputted. So how does that work in the system? Like, does the system itself just kind of it knows what to do, or are there human beings on the other end who are, that's a corner kick, it's
a combination of both. Okay. So we have some AI side of things, as well as a tagging team that goes in. And so from our standpoint, what we need is the ability to have your roster in advance so that we know what the numbers are. And then our team is able to go in on the back end and tag it. And so there's a combination of the AI technology that's able to do it effectively, but then also a tagging team that's like, okay, this is the player that's associated to. So when we ultimately are getting the game back, it's got all that detail and information relative to the players.
That makes me so excited because I know the time and energy and effort it takes to put that in and put that all together, and to be able to have that information without putting in the time and the energy and the effort.
It saves a lot.
It's a lot.
Oh, I used to work for the football team in college, and I was that person up on the scissor lift filming games and practices, and I would have to edit the film afterwards. And if whole matches weren't synced up, it would take hours between plays to have to sort them out and figure out the right thing. And I wish we had Huddle at that time. Unfortunately, we didn't, but it's amazing how much time and effort it saves coaches just in terms of that ability to not worry about that. And then all you can focus on is how you want to utilize that to effectively coach your players.
That's incredible. That's really exciting. Talking about your involvement with Huddle and getting into the Women's Pro Soccer League, personally, how did you get involved? What is your motivation to be doing this as well?
Yeah. So my whole background's in pro sports, actually. So I worked for a bunch of different sports leagues and organizations. Most recently, I was actually with the ownership group for Liverpool Football Club, selling sponsorships and partnerships across there. And so I came to Huddle about 3 years ago. And it was the best transition and switch I've ever made. I love the culture, love the people. I think so much of our value prop is in our customer service and the ways that we give back to the organizations that we work for. And it makes it really fun as a place to work. And I work across all of our different sports, but I have a significant focus within the club soccer space. We have a great partnership with ECNL, and I know a lot of the organizations here are part of that ECNL program. I also have a partnership with NJCAA and NAIA within the college space, and worked really closely on D1 women's soccer when we brought them over and to use us for a mandated exchange as well. So when it comes to the soccer world, it's been a really fun education process for me to really understand the space. And it's such a tight-knit community with so many great relationships. So it's been really fun to get up and running with it, because pro sports kind of operates a little bit differently, but in a lot of ways it's really similar. And it's so much about relationship building and building quality partnerships. And for me, what I look for in a partnership in an organization is a group that I can work with that's constantly really well organized, but also thinking through things in a creative fashion. And so when we're meeting on a monthly basis, it's like, what's the cool new education piece that we can bring to the table? What's something fun from a marketing standpoint we can do to highlight your players? You know, that's always a core of the partnerships and what I like doing with the relationships that I build. And so I'm really excited for that opportunity here.
That's really amazing.
Yeah.
This is a 3-year deal.
Yep.
So starting this season, we're at least going to have you around for 3 years
Yep.
at the very least. So it'll be exciting to see how the teams and the players are able to utilize this platform.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you want to make sure the clubs, the players know about what the partnership entails or Huddle before we sign off?
I'd say the biggest thing is really, you know, making sure as a club or as a player or anything, it's like you have so much opportunity at your disposal. And a lot of it might be more than even is necessarily talked about throughout the partnership. Like Huddle is meant to be that one-stop shop for everything. So I encourage clubs, and what we're going to do is make sure that everyone's set up with their individual sales rep and customer success manager so that they know who they can go to talk about stuff. And we're transparent. We want to share everything and give opportunities and options that you have. And a lot of that's free within our platform. So it's not even necessarily something that might be highlighted, because it's like, oh, we've actually got it in there, and you just get that as part of the partnership. So encourage you to talk to your Huddle reps, have an opportunity to really learn more about what's offered, because, you know, we're going to want to make it as easy as possible for the core components, but there's so much more that as a team and as an athlete you can do to really get yourself to the next level. So
it's amazing. I'm really excited about it. And I
Me
know
too.
our teams are going to be too, especially our athletes. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
everyone watching, please stick around. We are going to take a quick break, and then we will be back with some more interviews.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome back. I am Katie Parker. You are watching AGM Live from the Women's Premier Soccer League. We just got done talking about a bunch of different acronyms in our last interview with Huddle, but now we are here to talk about Capelli Sport. Chris, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Thank you for taking the time. Capelli Sport, huge partnership with the WPSL,
Yes.
signature partner. Tell us a little bit about that partnership, what it looks like, what it entails.
Well, to start from the very get-go, Capelli Sport is extremely proud of everything that we've been able to do to invest in the women's game. We own teams overseas, so from the professional level down to the pre-professional level like WPSL, everything that's happening in our society in the United States and around the world for the women's game, we are thrilled. Even down to the way that we create our apparel, we're super dedicated to the women's fit and the women's cuts. Our lead designer is female, so we're all about it. So we're super happy to be here, super happy to be, partnered with Debray and Sean and Kendra and Matt, and it's just a great bunch of people, and it's all about relationship, as you know.
In terms of that partnership, we see Capelli a lot on the social media posts and on the signage, and but more specifically, I see it a lot on the jerseys and the uniforms and the kits that the athletes are wearing. What does that merchandise product, the line, look like?
For 2024, it's massive. We keep expanding the options that we can provide to teams and the choices they can make, and to make sure that it fits their colors and their brands. Everything from, what you might call it a stock kit, but things that are very, very unique and special and hard to find that we store away for teams, let alone being able to produce custom kits in the right circumstances for the right situations. Everybody has an option and colors galore. So I'm really proud of the fact that we can do so much and be so unique and be so distinct, because it's really about what the club says to its community, what it says to its market, what it says to its fans, what it says to the players. And there's performance wear that everybody wants to wear around, in lifestyle too, or wear around town.
It's comfortable.
Yeah. Feels good.
Yeah. Why did Capelli in the first place want to get involved with the WPSL?
It's an opportunity, right? We could see the future of where the women's game is going, but we are really excited by the fact that we get to be we treat every one of our teams as if, with respect, Nike's and Adidas, they've got Juventus, they've got Manchester United, but who's taking care of these pre-pro and professional teams in the United States and overseas? This is our niche. We know that we can love them a little bit better than those two brands. So this is where we think we stand out. And
I know we can talk even more about Capelli and the partnership. I want to talk about your experience personally, how you connect to the game of soccer, and your feelings about being involved with the WPSL.
Yeah, so my background, I've been in the game for 25 plus years. I started out when Major League Soccer was still an idea. In '96, I was an intern for DC United. Then I worked for MLS for about 10 to 12 years in ticket sales and sponsorship sales. So that entrepreneurial start, that's where I've been the whole time. And then I've been a team owner in FC Tucson, which is a USL property. I get it. I think that's the thing I really appreciate about coming to an event like this and talking to the owners and talking to the GMs about how they're running their clubs. I get it. I bleed it. I understand, what the thrills are. I understand what the terrifying parts of the day can be. Sometimes it's all packaged into one, but they're doing it because it's a joy. They're doing it because they're giving back to the community. The way that those players are engaged and elevated and can become professional. Whether they become professional soccer players, that's not really that important. Some do. They're going to be professional something. So giving those opportunities and sharing it is only making our society better. Sport is essential. It is tribal. It's everything that makes us good about ourselves and competitive. And you can't get enough of it.
We spoke a little bit last night at the event, the kickoff reception here at AGM, and I loved something that you said, and it ties to the emotional connection to the game. And I think that that's kind of partly why it's called the beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much beauty that happens within the sport, both on the pitch and off.
Yeah.
How do you connect emotionally to soccer, and what do you see as that being the importance of that?
I think you feel it, right? I watch a match and I care about it as a player. I've got a match tomorrow with my over 50 men's team. I'm still doing it. It gives me personally it is a sense of purpose, a sense of accomplishment that I play and what I can do to impact a game, and then how it's impacted my family. And I have a daughter that played in college and at the D2 level, and everything that soccer does, it become, but this sport transcends, right? It's more of a lifestyle if you truly embrace it. And whether that's you're a fan of Wrexham, you're a fan of Man U, you're a fan of the WPSL home team that's in your town, you can live it and walk around, and it's a sense of pride for many people, sense of identification, sense of connection even. It's a great way to bond with other people, and that's something that you can't get enough of that. Again, it's something that's so beautiful and so impactful, and it's for me, it's been a lifetime, of joy.
How long has Capelli been a partner with the WPSL?
I believe it's been about 4 years. We're on our second agreement now, and everybody's in love with each other, so it's fantastic.
I know. So spanning 4 years, that would include, coming out of the year that we had to not have a season because of the pandemic. So I feel like the WPSL, the league, is starting to kind of get its stable grounding again.
Oh yeah.
And it just feels like so much opportunity and possibility is coming in the future.
I think we said there's 142 teams this year. Is that what we settled on?
We are about to announce the official roster of teams in just a little bit.
Is it a little bit bigger? Did I get that right?
You're very
I'm close. I know I'm close. I know it's impressive.
The league has fielded a team, at least 100 teams since the year 2016, and it continues to grow every
It's stunning.
year. It's incredible. And the amount of expansion teams that join every year, we're going to announce the amount here in just a little bit.
That's awesome.
As well.
I hope I didn't spoil it.
No, you're good. We will have those official numbers in just a moment, and the conference alignments and how everything's going to shape up with who's playing who and in what conference, and who's going to be hosting what playoffs, and all of that fun detail is coming up in just a few minutes. But the emotional tie to the game and the fact that it just continues to grow. What do you see for the growth of women's soccer right now, and where we're headed with the landscape of it all?
It has picked up such a marvelous head of steam. I've been part in my observations of the women's game, and I can remember being at DC United when the WUSA had the Washington Freedom, and we were playing in the same stadium, but we weren't the same culture. And I'd see Mia Hamm walking around the stadium, and I would think to myself, why can't we all be a part of this and sharing in this greater growth? And candidly, society's changing. It's improving. People, and men especially, are starting to realize this is a fantastic game. It's played at a high level. It's marvelous to watch, and it's passionate, and it's exciting, and it's everything that soccer already is. And there's no reason to decide whether it's female or male. Just love it. And I think that's something that's changing, and it's making us better.
So you are a girl dad.
Yes.
And like you said, your daughter played as well. What do you see with the WPSL and how important it is for women's soccer?
It's, with respect to even the NWSL, it may be more important because the impact of the volume of people that it's going to affect, and like we talked about, that you maybe see a couple of players reach the pro potential, and that's tremendous, and that should be part of the ambition of the WPSL, is to keep elevating. But I think it's just going to prepare women to be pro at anything. And I think, you and I talked about this last night, there may be, I'm not sure the exact statistic, but something remarkable, like 85, 90% of women who are CEOs of their companies and huge conglomerates participated in some sport, built their confidence, built their competitive nature, gave them a sense of self that then applies to the rest of their lives. Well, there you go, right? That's what we want for everybody. That's where we all gain. So I would expect, and I would imagine that WPSL will do its audits and look back at its history and look at those women who came through. You know, we're seeing the colleges that are, and my college is Florida State, national champs, right? So seeing that those women played in WSL and where they went from there, not just on the pitch, but also off the pitch, great stories to tell.
Definitely. I know Brandy Chastain, Leslie Osborne, there are a couple of the athletes that have come through the WPSL system, gone on to play in World Cups and be champions, and they are now starting their
second careers, right? Yeah,
with the AFC. So it just continues to kind of feed back into the growth.
It's giving a pathway. Pathway to pro, whatever the pro is, you know, pro accountant, pro salesperson, pro whatever, pro engineer, but it's pro. And that's where the WPSL is a great contributor to everything that's happening in the game.
Well, I know your daughter is not in soccer anymore. Yes or no?
She still plays with me.
Okay.
We play co-ed together, which is a thrill. Dad
nice.
Gets that thrill. But she dials it down for me a little bit.
What has she given you any feedback on what she thinks about your involvement or just women's soccer in general?
You know, for the two of us, it's a bond, right? We have always connected on that, and that transcends today. You know, the way that we relate today. Just having something that you're always consistently talking about as you try to figure out the rest of your relationship. But her spirit, she is hyper competitive, actually, maybe a little too competitive. She's passionate, she cares, and she's driven. And I have another daughter too, who didn't play the sport, but she was part of all of this culture. And that's kind of who we are, and that's how we are aligned. And it's fun to talk about, and then it leads to more deeper conversations about how to live life and to love one another and take care of one another.
I have a daughter that is playing soccer right now as well. She's 4, so she's just getting into kind of starting to realize the competitive landscape of it, but it's still very fun, and just the love of it and the joy, and going out there and just the camaraderie. And as we have been talking about, the tie back to the emotional side of it, and just this wonderful thing to be a part of that is going to continue to grow. It's
a blessing, and maybe the two of you will end up playing together on a team at some point, right?
That could be fun.
It would be. It's a blast.
That would be amazing. So coming back to Capelli, and that tie in with the emotional aspect, and you have an emotional connection with the game and with athletes. And when you see that brand, you're going to end up having an emotional connection with that brand as well.
That's the hope. That's what we expect, right? It's quality gear. It's everything you want to keep you warm or have you perform well on the field. But we identify through our clothing, don't we? The way we look, the way we present ourselves, we want to look good, whatever that means to each one of us. And we think we do that at a supreme level. And frankly, it's less expensive than some of our competitive friends, and high quality, high caliber, lower cost, direct to relationship for the consumers and the people that are wearing, and down to the players, down to the coaches. It is really cool to go someplace and walk into an environment and see the brand unprompted, right? There's sometimes I go to things and of course we're there and we're staging it maybe, but there's so many people, and Sean said it today, how he's seen the explosion of our brand everywhere. And it's because, yes, quality of the gear, but it's quality of the people. Our owner, George Altiers, to Jason Arnold, who's my boss, to Andrew Ross, who's my colleague, and what we do for the pre-pro and the pro, all of our sales guys across the country. We just get it and we enjoy it. And I think we're generally good people. So it's easy to convey all of this and package it up and get people to, like you said, fall in love and feel an affinity for something.
is there anything else that you want to make sure the players, the fans, the clubs know about the partnership, or about Capelli, or the future of what's happening here?
We're dedicated. We're long lasting. As we evolve as a company, and through bumps and bruises that will sometimes make, any evolution of anything good is going to have some points of challenge, but I think we're in it to win it. And George recently, he said twice now in conversations with staff that he believes, and he is aiming to turn this brand into something that is lasting and large. And that's a huge statement, right? And it's still only a 12-year-old brand. But watch out, everybody. You're going to be wearing it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're excited that the WPSL gets to don the mark.
They're the leads.
As it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you so much. It's fun.
Share all of your knowledge and your personal connection to the sport as well. I really appreciate it. And you gave me a great segue into what's happening
That's
next. Right. We're going to take a quick break, but in just a few minutes, we are going to be announcing for the first time for the 2024 season the official roster of teams, what the alignment looks like, how many expansion clubs. It is all coming up in just a little bit, so don't go anywhere.